Hey y'all, how are y'all today? So, I've been looking at all the different comments that people are leaving on our tumble batch that's rolling right now. And I do want to go over just a few things because Oregon Coast Agates, he just pointed out a lot of great things to think about when you're going to go tumble your rocks. Everything, when you tumble, you have to understand that everything is not going to come out perfect unless you have really, really honestly worked that rock into something that's almost perfect anyway. It's just not going to happen. You have to be willing to look at your rock and be exploratory. Tumbling is literally a an adventure in itself when it comes to tumbling rocks that you have found. Now, in my past, I have tumbled a lot because I have not always had the equipment that I've started managing to be able to gather. And so I'll tell you what I did. I went and I found my rocks a lot of times, or I bought them rough. Because that's one of the best ways to get your hands on something that is just can be amazing. So this one right here is something that I found. And what's really amazing is that these two actually looked just like this one right here when I threw it into a tumbler. Now it just so happens that these are what that tumble produced. It had almost just as much fluff as what this one does right here. All of that went away. And it left different results. Was I going to be able to see that there was going to be a divot right there? No. Am I going to be able to tell that it might chip right there in tumbling? No. When I put something like this in there, I can't tell a lot of what might be flaws on the other end. That is the nature of tumbling. You have to be willing to explore. When I throw a rock like this one in, and this is literally the same rock that I'm fixing to show you next, and it comes out like this, no, I was never able to tell you that it would do that. When I throw something in there that has an outside matrix, kind of like a thunder egg, this is the inside of a thunder egg. And it's two different materials. It's actually agate. It can be 3 or 4 different materials. Not all shine the same. But check out what this one managed to do in a tumbler. And I did not clear up every single flaw. And you can see them. It does not necessarily make me unhappy with the rock itself. Because look at what the agate part did. And then I did actually get a shine on the matrix. And then there's so many others that I've done too. Like these right here. Can you even see? Can you tell which ones have actually been tumbled and which ones have not? I'm going to move it just a little bit closer so you can look at them. Now I'm betting right now that everybody's looking at that one. It's like, oh, that one's been tumbled. This one actually was found just like this. I have never tumbled this rock. It came from the same areas as these. It is just a slightly different material. And nature did that. This one right here is something that has never been tumbled. And you can see its pots. You can see its fractures. You can see what's going on the outside of it by looking really close. These two have been tumbled. These are extremely similar in texture. And it made it glossier. It brought out a few more little details. It closed up some of those divots. And considering this is almost sandy in nature to touch in the wild, I think it actually achieved quite a great shine. And exposed some of the different things that are causing those. Like, it looks like little quartz crystals may be causing some of those divots in this material. But what you do have to do is be careful when you throw something like this into a tumble, especially if you can see it beforehand. On the next stage, you got to check for those, and you've got to scrub them. You have got to get water in there. You've got to get them clean as much as possible, because otherwise something like this might happen. Now, I'm trying to point this area right here out. I'm going to get a little closer. That was an inborn flaw that got put in a tumble, and it has a piece of tumble material still ingrained into it, some of the grits, and that is so big it's probably coarse grit. Have I been able to get that out? No, I haven't. Have I tried really hard? No, I haven't. Did I shape it, pre-shape it? No, I didn't. Do I think it's beautiful just the way it is? Yes, I do. It has divots, like this one right here, deep down in there. And funny enough, on this one, this is actually not what you think it is. That is not leftover grit. That is actually an opal that covers some of the outside. Let me see if I can find another piece that shows it. Let's see. See that fine white? A lot of these rocks in these areas get this, and they go deep inside, and they cover the botryoidals. But these are all areas that 100% you have got to get in there and scrub the dickens out of in between each stage. And you can only hope for the absolute best at the end, because some of this is not even physically possible to get the grit out of. But I didn't want to grind away or cut away some of these features. I wanted to see what would happen. And I do still think it's beautiful just as it is. Here's some more of the Columbia River. I mean, when you look at things like these, and you see so many different things that are flaws. Now, yes, I could use a cabin machine, and I could use a saw, and I could charge myself $5, $10, $15, $20 an hour to pre-fix every single one of these. Or I can accept that I'm probably not ever going to eliminate every single flaw that a rock has. And I can't expect to be able to throw something into literally a rock tornado and not expect other things to happen. It may not have had a fracture when I threw it in, but it may have. Maybe the nature of the tumbling itself actually created those fractures. That's very possible. I mean, it is a rock tornado. I'm not necessarily going to go through and create absolute perfection on the outside for you, because of the fact that look at what you would be missing. To me, this is absolutely beautiful. Tumbled, the agate always tumbles really well. The other materials on it, maybe not so. It does not always necessarily detract from its appearance. And check this one out. This is very similar to some of the ones that we just threw into the tumble. This is actually from the Columbia River. It has some of the features that of the ones that we just showed, especially this material right here. So this is like a matrix material, and it is completely different than the agate itself. This one has been through a coarse stage, and I have cleaned it and taken it out, and it's patiently waiting its next turn. And it has fractures all through it, all over it. It's feathering, but I'm still willing to bet that it's going to be beautiful when it does come out, even with some of its natural left. I mean, something like this just tells me, it tells me where the rock came from. It tells me a little bit about its life, and I don't count that as a flaw. So y'all tell me what your thoughts are. I mean, what have you tumbled that just came like... Let me show y'all this one. Sorry. So this one came from Eastern Oregon, and this is something we just tumbled, and it is obviously, it is full. But look at that. It's purple in there, and it's beautiful. What is in that cave? I can't grind that off. I can do my best to clean it as it comes through. Can I make the grit go in there and shine things up? No. I have to leave that to what happens. But would I give up being able to see these beautiful purple and yellow and just all kinds of color swirls, and then seeing still what it looked like natural? Because unless I tumbled this for a very, very long time, and this rock right here, I don't believe would ever become fully shined. It is just too full of holes, too much matrix on it. But these are big things that you really have to consider when you're going to tumble something. What are you willing to accept? Are you only willing to have something absolutely perfect? Because only certain materials out there on this earth actually give you perfection. And it takes a lot of time and extra work on a lot of different materials to achieve that perfection. And not every material, just because you want it to, will actually do this. Can materials that you never thought would shine? Yeah. Given enough time. This is something that came off the Columbia River. This one has not been tumbled. This is just river tumbled. I've cleaned it. I washed it with soap. Do I want to grind away these divots? No, I don't. I really don't. I want to throw it in a tumble someday, and it doesn't even have to do that. Can it give you a shine eventually? Yes. Can that shine be more uniform if it didn't have these cracks and things in it? Yes, it could. Then you just have to decide whether or not that is something you want and how much work you're willing to put into it. This right here. This one right here still does not have a perfect shine. This is somewhat its pattern that it had before it went in. And it changes. It changes as it goes, as more things are revealed. And this one right here, to even get a shine on it, is one of them that I actually tumbled for close to 9 weeks in coarse grit to even get this much of a shine. So just because you want it to shine so great and so amazing, sometimes that shine is just not completely achievable. And you do have to be willing, when you tumble a rock, to accept its end results. It's going to do what it wants to do. And you cannot always force it into doing something like what this does. But it doesn't make it any less beautiful. Look at these that are two-tone. These are definitely two materials. And while the agate is just as shiny, the rest of what was in there is just, I'm sorry, but that's beautiful. And I actually love the difference in the tonality and how it feels in my hand too. Because I can feel those. And then I can feel the glossy. And that is part of what really attracts me to being able to tumble a rock. But I pointed out all these simply because don't be disappointed. Your rock is going to do what your rock does. And there's not a whole lot of control that you can have over how it turns out. Yes, there are things that you can learn to do, like tumbling longer, using different grits. There are all kinds of different things that you can do. But you don't necessarily always have to. And when you tumble a rock, you have to be able to really look at it and accept that it may come out with a flaw. Am I going to be okay with that? I may be. I may be not. And you know what the other choice that you always have is, if it is not perfection for you, you can A, give to someone else. B, you can rewild it. Okay, just put it back where you found it. Or C, you can tumble it again. Y'all have a great day.